faithfully delivering value and interpreting great books from around the world. Hello, this is Sally's Book Talk. Today, I'm going to introduce a classic in positive psychology, The Happiness Hypothesis by Jonathan Haidt, known in Chinese as The Elephant and the Rider. Everyone's got their own happiness hypothesis. Some think happiness means buying whatever they want, so they work like crazy to earn cash. Others believe happiness comes from being super slim, aiming to get skinny as lightning. But, oh, many folks get stuck wondering, why am I not reaching happiness no matter how hard I try? Take dieting, for example. Everybody knows controlling what you eat is key. But man, no matter how much some people try, they just can't resist crayfish or cake. Or, like everyone knows, finishing work efficiently has tons of benefits, but many still procrastinate till the last minute. So what's really blocking us from getting happy? Well, Jonathan Haidt, author of The Happiness Hypothesis, believes it's because we're all made of different selves, the rational conscious self and the emotional unconscious self, and they're often at war. He compares the emotional unconscious self to an elephant and the rational conscious self to its rider. Oh, and that elephant, it's got its own ideas and desires too. If the rider wants the elephant to move, they got to train it properly and communicate skillfully. Otherwise, that elephant will just wander wherever it pleases, never reaching the goal. Jonathan Haidt is a leading figure in positive psychology who won the Templeton Positive Psychology Prize. This award's a big deal in positive psychology, given specifically to psychologists under 40 for outstanding contributions. For years, Haidt's researched what actually boosts people's happiness. The happiness hypothesis is his magnum opus. After publication, it got rave reviews from global media giants like The Guardian, The Times, and Nature. They called it a profound and compassionate masterpiece. Even psychology legends praised the happiness hypothesis highly. Martin Seligman, the father of positive psychology, praised him, saying, "If you want to understand happiness, start by following Haidt." In this book, Haidt combines the latest research in psychology with ancient philosophies from both East and West, and he explores what factors hinder us from achieving happiness and what methods can help us gain it. Next, I'll interpret this book for you through 3 key points. First, how the elephant and rider influence our happiness. Second, can external things bring us happiness? Third, what internal things can help us achieve happiness? All right, let's start with the first key point. How do the elephant and rider influence our happiness? As we discussed earlier, Haidt believes a major obstacle to happiness is the conflict between different selves, like the elephant and rider. These two different selves are essentially our two psychological processing systems. One is the rational, controlled system we're aware of. The other is the emotional, automatic system that we're not conscious of. Um, you might think the automatic system isn't conscious or rational, so it has no advantages at all. But actually, most of our psychological processes are handled by this elephant-like automatic system, which is way more important than the conscious, controlled one. This is because the controlled system, the rider, has a big limitation. It can only handle one thing at a time. You can try reading a book while listening to the radio and then summarize both. Most people either can't summarize either side or only manage one. That's because our conscious attention can generally only focus on one thing. But in life, we got to handle multiple things simultaneously all the time. Like when biking, we need to keep pedaling while staying balanced. At the same time, we have to avoid hitting others, constantly check our position, and decide whether to turn left or right ahead. If all this were left to the controlled system, which can only focus on one thing, the result could be getting lost or crashing, never reaching the destination safely. It's precisely because the automatic system handles many things unconsciously. Without the automatic system's help, our lives would be impossible. We might even get so absorbed in thinking that we forget to breathe and suffocate ourselves. Why do humans have two different psychological systems? That's because the development of the controlled system requires language. Through language, can humans engage in deep analysis and thinking. But the emergence and development of language happened quite late in biological evolution, whereas to survive, living beings have possessed the automatic system since birth. Through long evolution, the automatic system has become far more mature and refined than the controlled system. So the elephant and rider metaphor is incredibly apt, perfectly capturing the relationship and characteristics of these two systems. The elephant is an independent entity from the rider with its own thoughts. Although the rider sits atop the elephant, he's not its king, but rather an advisor and travel companion offering suggestions. If the elephant rebels, the rider is powerless because their strengths are vastly mismatched. Therefore, when conflict arises, it's often the rider, our controlled system, that fails. Haidt outlines three common conflicts between the elephant and rider in the book. The first conflict is powerless willpower, using dieting as an example. Why? Is it so hard to resist crayfish and cake with willpower alone? Because in primitive societies with unstable food sources relying on hunting and gathering, the best approach when seeing high calorie, high sugar foods was to eat as much as possible, since no one knew when they'd eat next. Thus, the craving for high calorie, high sugar foods is deeply ingrained in everyone's instincts through evolution, and conscious willpower developed much later, so it struggles to resist instinctual urges. The second conflict is mental interference. There's a famous experiment in psychology called the white bear experiment. Participants were told they could think about anything except a white bear. This sounds simple, but everyone found they couldn't help thinking about the white bear despite trying hard not to. Partly because when the controlled system repeatedly checks for white bear thoughts, it activates the automatic system's focus, making the bear appear in our mind. And partly because the automatic system generates countless fleeting thoughts constantly, which the controlled system can't possibly manage, quickly becoming exhausted and defeated. So the harder we try to shake off a thought, the more stubbornly it clings. The third conflict is called rationalization, because most of our thoughts and judgments come from the unconscious automatic system. Once we need to explain these thoughts and judgments, we might just cook up reasons based on existing biases. For instance, we might raise all sorts of objections to a colleague's proposal without realizing we're opposing it not because it's bad, but because we heard them bad-mouthing us recently. In such cases, it's actually the elephant holding the reins, steering the rider, yet the rider naively believes they're in control. Besides conflicts with the rider, the elephant has another trait. It fixates on negatives, which also robs us of happiness. This makes perfect sense. Humans historically lived unstable lives, never knowing when their next meal would come or if they'd survive the next minute. While foraging in forests, we'd mistake a stick for a venomous snake and panic. But that's far better than not reacting to an actual snake. So we react faster to threats or dislikes than to opportunities or things we enjoy. This elephant trait, though hard to control, boosted our survival odds. But it also makes us hyper-focus on negatives in daily life. And we remember hurts more easily than kindness. Losses feel worse than gains feel good. Over time, we habitually see things negatively, drifting further from happiness. Former U.S. President Franklin captured this elephant trait perfectly. He said, "A little pain, and we feel it immediately. But health and vitality, we barely notice." All right, let's summarize part one. The conflict between conscious and unconscious systems blocks our happiness. It manifests in three ways: powerless willpower, mental interference, and rationalization. And due to evolution, the automatic system fixates more on negatives. All of this makes it really hard to achieve the happiness we want. Now, let's dive into the second key point. Can external things bring happiness? On this, ancient Eastern and Western thinkers actually agree. Whether Indian Buddhism, Roman Christianity, or Greek Stoicism, all teach that chasing wealth, fame, and such is ultimately futile. To find happiness, we must let go of attachment to externals and seek inner peace and joy. Haidt finds this view enlightening but somewhat one-sided. Psychology. Years of research show some external things are worth pursuing if you understand why they bring happiness. Positive psychology says happiness comes from three sources: genetics, life circumstances, and controllable factors. Genetics can't change, but circumstances and controllables can. First, life circumstances. Some imagine upgrading life as moving to upscale neighborhoods with, celebrity neighbors and buying designer bags. But honestly, these don't bring lasting happiness because they're conspicuous consumption. Here, conspicuous consumption means buying things to show off, hoping to elevate status while putting others down. This consumption psychology also ties to evolution. In primitive tribes, grabbing attention and impressing others was crucial. It offered survival advantages. Over millions of years, this strategy became the elephant's habitual impulse. But in modern society, it traps us in comparison cycles, pushing happiness further away. Because if I can put others down, others can put me down too. There'll always be someone richer, higher status, with better houses. So, how to overcome this consumption impulse? Haidt suggests meditation practice to consciously observe thoughts and curb impulses. We can also use cognitive behavioral therapy to question the thoughts behind these impulses. For example, if I don't show off, will I really lose others' attention and affection? By persistently analyzing like this, we'll spot the irrationality in these thoughts and the impulse will gradually fade. So now we can go after living conditions that make us happier. For instance, instead of moving to a fancy neighborhood, switch to a place closer to work. That way, we don't have to squeeze into the subway every day and we can enjoy a proper breakfast before strolling to the office. You could also spend the money saved for bags on decorating your room or buying furniture to make your living space cozier. Although others can't see these expenses, the happiness they bring is real and lasting, worth everyone chasing after. Having covered changes in living conditions, let's now discuss controllable factors that boost happiness. Here we'll mainly focus on two factors. The first controllable factor is challenges that let you leverage your strengths and immerse yourself fully. Why do we say that? Because psychological research shows positive emotions can be split into two types. One is the positive feeling before reaching a goal. When we're pushing hard toward a goal, we feel happy and satisfied. This happy feeling can last quite a while. The other is the positive emotion after achieving the goal. At the moment we finish a goal, we feel a sense of relief, but it usually only lasts a short time. So, to get lasting happiness, we need to focus on the process of achieving goals itself, though not every process brings positive feelings. Like when a teacher punishes you by making you copy something 100 times, you won't feel happy, right? Hmm. Positive psychology believes that to gain happiness, you got to find challenges that play to your strengths and immerse you fully, like skiing, basketball, writing, or photography. When someone's totally immersed in these things, the elephant of the automatic system takes charge, happily charging ahead, and the rider of the controlled system searches for problems and opportunities, helping and guiding the elephant forward. This state of perfect teamwork between the elephant and rider for the same goal can bring lasting happiness. Another controllable factor that boosts happiness is good relationships with others. The first to prove this was the 19th century sociology master Emil Durkheim. He spent 7 years completing a groundbreaking survey. He gathered data from all over Europe to study factors influencing suicide. Durkheim concluded that people with weaker ties to others have a higher risk of suicide. Specifically, married people have lower suicide rates than singles. Married people with children have even lower rates than childless couples. Among all ethnic groups, Jews have the lowest suicide rates. They highly value social connections and frequently organize gatherings. Durkheim's findings were repeatedly studied by psychologists who confirmed relationships impact life quality far more than assumed. From birth, everyone craves secure relationships with those around them. Psychologists observe children freely play and explore when parents are present. Once children notice parental absence, they cry and fuss immediately. This is because parents represent safety and stability. Good relationships help children grow and understand the world. Children lacking parental love during development often show insecurity and emotional detachment. Their future work and life are inevitably affected. Even as adults, we still crave positive relationships. As social animals, we all desire belonging within groups. Haidt tested 350 students with 4 activities to see which brought the longest lasting mood boost. First activity, indulging in gourmet food. Second, attending an unconventional lecture. Third, showing kindness to a friend. Fourth, writing gratitude reasons and thanking someone in person. Results showed the last 2 activities provided the most lasting happiness, maintaining good moods into the next day. Medical research further confirms good relationships boost immunity, extend lifespan, speed surgical recovery, reduce anxiety and depression risks, and foster optimism. This supports Durkheim's conclusions, but building strong relationships takes time. Haidt suggests starting small. Cooperate equally and reciprocally with those around you. When someone cares for or helps you, reciprocate by caring and helping them back. Reciprocity is a simple principle with massive positive impacts on relationships. That's because the unconscious elephant in our mind is a master imitator. It copies people we like and also likes those who copy us. For example, when we're with someone we like, we unconsciously mimic their behavior. Like if they tap their foot to a beat, you might start doing it too without thinking. If they touch their face, you might find yourself touching yours too. Plus, Haidt found we're more willing to help imitators. Waitresses who mirror customers earn bigger tips. When we mimic each other, it's like saying we're on the same team, making us feel closer. All right, let's recap part 2. Suitable external things boost happiness. These fall into 3 categories. First, non-showy consumer goods. We should pursue things that genuinely improve our quality of life. Second, challenges that let us leverage strengths and immerse fully. Third is good relationships, built simplest through reciprocity. Now I'll present the book's 3rd key point. What internal things bring us happiness? Haidt gives a clear answer. Elevation. What's elevation? Haidt surveyed many who described it as feeling opened up, filled with warmth and light, worries vanishing. They feel part of something larger than themselves, driven to become better. This emotion is familiar to many. We feel it seeing soldiers rescue earthquake victims or elders funding children through recycling. Elevation boosts oxytocin, which fuels happiness. Oxytocin creates intimacy and trust, opening us to new connections. So when do we experience elevation? Haidt introduces several ways to achieve elevation in the book. The first way is witnessing virtue. When we see others exhibit virtues like bravery, kindness, or compassion, we can't help but shed tears. This emotion allows us to relax, drop our defenses, believe there are good people in the world, and that love exists in everyone's nature, making us feel very happy. This is the most common way to achieve elevation. The second way to achieve elevation is by seeking awe. When people encounter something much grander than themselves, they feel awe from the heart, leading to elevation. The majestic beauty of nature is one thing that can inspire awe. Kant's most famous quote is, "Two things fill the mind with ever-increasing wonder and awe, the starry heavens above me and the moral law within me." And when Darwin was in the magnificent scenery of the Brazilian rainforest, He marveled, saying, "The feelings of wonder, admiration, and devotion that fill my heart are beyond description." This emotion felt by Kant and Darwin is elevation. Awe can be inspired not just by nature, but also by abstract concepts. For example, for many physicists, Einstein's theory of relativity can also inspire awe. Another thing that can inspire awe is peak experiences that transcend human current understanding. This experience often occurs among religious followers. William James, the father of American psychology, documented many such peak experiences in his classic work, The Varieties of Religious Experience. These followers described feeling freed from self centeredness, united with the universe, seeing all things as equal and filled with awe and joy. This experience sounds mystical, but many people have indeed gone through it. Maslow, founder of humanistic psychology, believed peak experiences are fundamental to the human psyche, and all religions essentially developed from such experiences. One could even say that religion is a means to help people achieve peak experiences and feel awe towards the divine. So, why does awe lead to elevation? As mentioned earlier, the main obstacle to happiness is the conflict between the divided selves. But when facing something grander than ourselves, we feel small and overwhelmed by its power. Martin Seligman, the father of positive psychology, praised him, saying, "To understand happiness, start by following Haidt." In this book, Haidt combines cutting-edge psychology research with ancient Eastern and Western philosophies. He explores what factors block our happiness and what methods can actually bring it. Next, I'll unpack this book through 3 key points for you. First, how the elephant and rider influence our happiness. Second, can external things bring us happiness? Third, what internal things help us achieve happiness? All right, let's start with the first key point. How do the elephant and rider steer our happiness? As discussed earlier, Haidt sees the elephant-rider conflict, different selves clashing, as a major happiness blocker. These two selves represent our dual processing systems, the conscious, rational, controlled system, and the unconscious, emotional, automatic system. You might think the automatic system, unconscious and irrational, has zero advantages, but actually, our automatic elephant handles most psychological processes, way more crucial than the conscious rider. Because the controlled system, the rider, has a critical limitation. It handles just one thing at a time. Try reading while listening to radio, then summarizing both. Most people fail both summaries or manage just one. This shows our conscious attention focuses on single tasks. Yet daily life demands multitasking. Cycling requires pedaling and balancing simultaneously, plus avoiding collisions while navigating turns, constant environmental scanning. If the single task rider handled this, we'd get lost or crash. It's our automatic system that unconsciously accomplishes these feats, plus challenges that leverage our strengths, good relationships, and the internal pursuit of elevation all help achieve happiness. We can achieve elevation by witnessing virtue, seeking awe, and immersing ourselves in group efforts. All right, that concludes our interpretation of the happiness hypothesis. Reading notes are below the audio. See you tomorrow.